Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes, welcome to the live stream of consciousness. My moment, my favorite moment of the week. It is, what did we agree on collectively? That it was Thursday, December 12th. We've agreed to call this moment that, and that's where we are. And I say that so that when I look back on these videos, I know what was happening at that moment, because it's going to be a different moment when I'm watching it back and seeing a different me, which is kind of cool. I was just talking to my guest tonight about how everything's always changing, you know, and I always talk about that when I have a guest come back and I say, you're never standing in the same river twice, right? Even if you're standing in the same spot, the river was flowing, everything's changed. It's not the same river. And that's what I mean. So you're at the live stream of consciousness. Welcome if it's your first time. I know sometimes my guests like to send out the post and invite everybody to come see. So if you're here for my beautiful guest, welcome. I like to just encourage the chat to chat along. If you're here, give me a hashtag live. Let me know you're here live. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you like what you see, subscribe. Also share it. If you just hit the share button, all of these things just to help somebody, to help the community grow, you just hit share and boom, you've made a difference. It's so easy to make ripples on this digital platform like this. And I love having this platform to connect to other people rather than separate from other people, right? A lot of social media and platforms are people separating from each other. And this is a place where I connect the collective. I highlight a single member of the collective. I was going to count how many episodes I had. And I was going to say, okay, I've done 300 episodes. I've only got 7.5 billion more people to talk to. And then I'm done. And then I have met everybody. What's up, Grace Grella, watching on both platforms? Thank you very much. I see Charlie Tedesco out there. What's up, Charlie? Nice graphics. Thank you, my friend. Arnie Layton is out there. Keep finding beautiful souls. That's what I love about what I'm doing. I am finding beautiful souls, and they're finding me, and it's awesome. And Charles is watching in the future, but he slowed down for the now moment. I love that. That is awesome. That is actually my first guest, my first viewer from the future that I've had. That's awesome, Charles. Thank you for being here. And Grace has shared. Thank you, Grace. Anyway, I'm blabbering. I don't know if you guys saw the live special episode that I did from the Empowered Path Expo at the Holiday Inn in Plainview, but I did a very cool live. I had a table there, and some of the practitioners stopped by and gave me a little interview. We got to walk around. That was a little technical. What's the right word? I don't know. It was a technical challenge, but we met it. Had Janice walking around with the phone, looking at everybody's booths and getting some people on screen. It was really a lot of fun. Thank you to Diane Hutnick for putting that together, making a beautiful community. And welcome Bianca Lauren. Self-care, empowerment, wellness, all words that I love. And I love that you put them all together. That's great. I love the healer community. I love it because you can feel it. There's such a great vibration with people who are heart-centered, working for others, working to help people. And it's interesting because that's what I'm doing. And it's funny, I always talk about this. I was always producing behind the scenes. That's kind of what I do. And I got invited to co-host a show, and I never expected to be in front of the camera. But this is such a great platform. Like I said, I love it so much because I get to meet such amazing people like my guest tonight, Lisbeth is she's an intuitive energy healer. She's a Reiki master. She's sound healing is one of her great modalities. I got to tell you, I've experienced it not directly, but just nearby, and it was amazing. And music and medicine and more than that. What am I seeing here? Sacred voice, vocal alchemist, light worker, Bella Luna Healing on Instagram. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness, Lisbeth. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so happy and grateful to be here.
Awesome. I'm so happy you're here. I love people who come in with a big smile. I know that that's authentic and that they're happy to be here. Shout out to Soul Sister Liz. Good to be with you, Michael. What's up, Alan McGee? Welcome. Good to be with you. Thank you for coming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love people who come and bring energy. It's interesting. I mean, I don't practice a specific modality other than this. I guess this is my modality, and I can feel it. I can feel when people are watching and enjoying. I love watching the chat room and people are like talking to each other. People are Arnie's like, "Hey, Grace." Grace is, "Hey, Arnie, what's up?" It's so great. I love that so much. So your first time here, we just met recently. We met at that expo. You were singing right behind me. I had my wall with me, and you were singing right behind me, and it added so much to the energy. I was like a couple of the people who are sitting with me were like, "Oh, how do I deal with that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, it's beautiful. Like, just be in it. Just be in it. So it was really awesome. But we're going to get to talk about that. But you've got to answer my questions first.
Okay, I'm ready.
My favorite questions to ask people. The first question is always, what is consciousness? What are we talking about?
Okay, consciousness to me is that that awareness of our oneness, of that interconnectedness with all beings, with everything that is alive, that's around us, with our source, with our source energy. That's what I believe consciousness.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? I'm going to actually ask you, even though like I love the answer, it makes perfect sense to me. I kind of been realizing sometimes, people have different definitions and perspectives. So my next question is based on what you just said is, well, what is source?
Source is to me is the origin of all, is what we are all an extension of. It is God. It is both masculine and feminine. It's mother, father, God. It is where we all extend from. It is pure love.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I feel like the word says it, but some people like, what do you mean when you say source? And it's like, I've explained to people like, for me, I struggled with the word God for a long time because there's a lot of weight to it in language. The concept is personified, which I had a really hard time with for a long time, and now I'm good with the word God. But for a while, I had to replace it with source, with universe. Words that kind of just made more sense to me linguistically, because they were like all encompassing, and that's kind of what God is, right? God is all encompassing, the all.
Yes.
Awesome.
But there's so many, I guess there's so much, I don't want to use the word stigma, like dogma with it, right? It's attached to so many religions and so much separation, where in reality, it's the unity of everything.
You just said it. Welcome, Lisbeth and Ninja Kitty saying welcome. And Jennifer's out there. What's up, Jennifer? Awesome. You just said it. And when people ask me my thoughts about that, right, religion, and spirituality, I say, well, I feel like, again, just my perspective, that religion separates you from God, and spirituality, you realize that you are God, or God is within you.
Yes.
And that's a great way to kind of differentiate, and kind of, I feel like the basis of religion is do unto others as you would have done unto you, and those kinds of things, and that is the idea of oneness. But it's been a little changed. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So my next question is, so you are an energy worker. Sound is really fascinating to me. I want to definitely get into talking about sound and how that works. But my next question to kind of take us there is to ask you if you have a story or memory or a moment that stands out where you realized that things like sound and energy were a valid part of existence. Like, we're not really taught that in school, right?
Mm. No, we're not taught that in school. And I feel like music always brought me joy as a child, my entire life. I was laughing with my 14-year-old daughter. She was sitting, she's like, Mommy, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And did you know? And I did. I wanted to sing. That's all I ever wanted to do. I didn't really have any aspirations to really be anything else. And I did as a teen, and I was involved in many different things, and life got in the way. And here I am. But I just knew that the energy, the feeling. So there aren't really words that can describe it. It's just that feeling of knowing that there's just pure joy there. And I kind of had shut it down as I got older, and I became responsible, and and did all the things that I was supposed to do, like get
Right.
married.
Well, let me interrupt you there for a second. When you say you shut it down, you mean like the idea of pursuing it?
Yes.
Or okay, so but you did, I mean, see, the thing I'm thinking in my head as you're saying that is, like, even if you don't pursue it, you still always have it, right? It's always
Always
something.
within you, yes. But as life got in the way for me, I shut it, literally, like shut it.
Oh, wow.
I started to lose my voice
Mm,
because it was so it was so part of who I was that when I was denying my true authentic self, I started to lose my voice.
mm,
And I was losing that ability. I lost my range, and
wow.
I started to it was just really, that was the beginning of where I guess looking back now, there was the nudges that I was really getting to wake
Mhm,
up. And so
mhm,
that
mhm,
was the
mhm.
beginning of it. I started to lose my voice.
Wow.
And I didn't
I'm
really
surprised to hear that, considering what I heard, like, and where you've taken it back to. Obviously, you went back and exercised those muscles and exercised those intentions, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I did it. When my daughter was born, it started to really come back and started to dabble in that joy of singing came back. And then I found a wonderful teacher through my daughter's, studies, and he
Oh,
really helped me. Yes, he actually was my vocal coach. I just started to do it for fun, and he helped me wake that back up. And
that's
um,
awesome.
so it started to come back, and I'm really happy.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm just kind of guessing here. Did you were just like singing around him, and he was like, "Hey, wait a second, there's something there," or did you approach him?
No, I approached him for
You did.
lessons. Yeah, I
Okay.
approached him
Okay.
for lessons. My daughter was
Okay.
taking piano through a school he was working through, and I asked if there was someone, because it was just that calling. It was just calling
Sure.
me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was just doing it for fun. And he really, really helped me. I should probably say is Tom Kilori. He's a fabulous vocal coach.
Awesome. Shout out to Tom. Tom Kilori.
Yes.
Shout out to Tom.
Yes. And that started to really bring that joy back in me. But I didn't realize that it was a healing modality until later.
Mm,
Yes.
okay. And so and how, so you were singing kind of like as a singer in a band and just as vocalist. So what was it that connected? Like, I guess I guess I'm not going to guess. But like Reiki and stuff like that, were you doing that? Like, how did you connect all of it? That's really, I guess, the next question.
In 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer, and that's it pushed me and catapulted me into a spiritual awakening and a dark night of the soul. So it's like everything just opened up and also crumbled at the same time. I was married for over 20 years, and my marriage pretty much came to an end during that period. And I was struggling with making decisions on what to do with what course of treatments to take and all of those things. And And then I had the awakening, which was like, oh, there's so much more. And it's almost like it was always there. Like you always had this little knowing, and you always kind of had like, oh yeah, always had these little intuitive nudges, but this was like boom, and the gifts started to come online, and the dreams and the visions and all of those things really started to open up. And that's where the path led me to realize that I had this gift through healing myself and kind of figuring out my path. And I had my first Reiki session, and the person that worked with me, she was kind of mentioning there's something within you that, she mentioned, I think the words that she used was, there's something that within you that you have shut down that needs to come back. And I kind of had a hint of what it was. And then in 2021, I went to Costa Rica and for an ayahuasca journey, and Mother Ayahuasca told me.
Wow. Oh, I want to hear this story.
Yes, my in 2021, after things kind of settled down, I knew that I didn't want to do all the full conventional treatments for cancer. I did do radiation, and I had surgery, but I didn't want to take the medications, and I didn't want to do chemo. At that point, I already felt that intuitive nudge that was pushing me for a holistic approach and to wake up to where I'm at today. And I went to Costa Rica for a journey. It was four ayahuasca journeys. And
Wow.
yes, and while I was there, I had sacred surgery, and I knew that I never was going to be ill again. And I was told that I didn't need medication, and so I decided not to take it. So I didn't take the medication anymore. I stopped taking it. I was taking it at the time, and I stopped. And the mother told me I needed to sing, and that I would be singing medicine music, is how she phrased it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. So I'm fascinated with ayahuasca journey stories, because I've heard so many amazing stories, right? And they're all a little bit different. Do you have any specific recollections of the experience that
Yes.
you want to share with us?
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
It changed my life again. So it's like the next level of life-changing experiences. It cracked open a lot of past life trauma that I was experiencing that I didn't understand. And so dreams and nightmares that I had as a child and as a teenager were really brought to life, and I understood them. So I had I had many lifetimes of persecution for being a light worker. And so there was a lot of fear of really speaking my truth and coming on and being open with my ability to
Wow.
sharing my lights. There was a lot happening with a baby that I had several lifetimes of losing a child traumatically. So the child was basically stolen, and I would see these dreams as a kid and as a teenager, and I'd wake up screaming, they took my baby. And I saw, I understood these lifetimes, and the baby was a baby of light that was meant to unite people and bring, her name was She Who Brings Joy. And she was meant to bring all of this love and beauty.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of that. And then a lot of ancestral healing and lineage. I saw a lot of my ancestors and a lot of trauma within that line. Both my parental maternal line, there was a lot there that was cleared. So that was the biggest, those were probably one of the biggest take, and obviously the stuff from this lifetime, the traumas of this lifetime were shown to me while I was there. I went back again to Costa Rica, to the same place. This past December 31st, I was there. And there I experienced a whole different level of healing.
And what was it for another ayahuasca journey or
Yes, I went to the same place. I went back. I was at Rhythmia Life Advancement Center in Costa Rica. It was a fantastic place. They're super nurturing and very helpful. And when I went back this time, a year ago, it was very different than my first time. It was a lot deeper. I went back with a different knowing and a different
Right.
intentions. This time it was like, okay, I'm ready to step into this role. I know that this is something I have to do. If I don't step in, I'm getting the feeling that I'm just not going to live in alignment because I'm going to be denying what my true authentic self is calling me, what my soul came here to do, my dharma, my
Wow.
purpose. And so I went there with that intention. Okay, how do I do this? You're telling me I'm supposed to sing, and my voice is a healing modality. How do I use it? What do I do? I'm terrified. And so those were my intentions. How do I put this all together
Okay.
without
Okay.
looking like a lunatic? And how do I break the conditioning and the fear within me that in all of the witch wounds that I was carrying?
Right.
How do
You're talking about from the past lives about being a light worker. That wow.
Yeah.
You're bringing up something really interesting. Because for me, a lot of the stories that I heard about ayahuasca and experiences were kind of very specific of that person revisiting something in their own life that was a trauma and healing it. You know what I mean? Like experiencing it from like an adult and being able to reach out to the child and say, hey, it's okay, that kind of a thing. But you and I'm like, I don't feel like I have that, and that maybe that's why I wasn't feeling like, so drawn to ayahuasca, right? Not being called to it. But you bring up the idea that the trauma may be something you don't even recognize from a past life,
Yes.
right? And it was interesting that you talked about this trauma that was from a past life you actually did experience as a teenager, waking up in a nightmare and with, where's my baby,
Yes.
but not understanding what the heck was going on.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yes.
that's really that's I'm sorry, I'm processing it. So but
Okay.
that's really amazing. It's really, I mean, again, to because I've only experienced you in this moment, right, with you in your power and using that ability and doing what you do, and like I said, I wasn't even on your table, and I was like, okay, I feel that energy, it's there, and like, and it was significant. It must be amazing. I feel a little envious that you're like, you have it, like, you got your mission, you got the paper, it's all written down, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Like, I feel like I'm still looking for those instructions, right? What am I supposed to do? Even though I know, like, listen, part of it is just showing up here, right? That's part of what I'm doing, and even having this conversation, this energetic exchange. It's funny. I had an interview with a comedian who was talking about, like, we're a little bit high right now, right? Because this energy, and it's not high as in drugs, but like energetically, like you and I are both here with this intention to engage each other in a beautiful conversation and exchange energy on a very high level,
Yes.
of vibration. And so I just love that. I know I'm rambling right now, but
No, it's
I'm
okay.
really enjoying the moment and the story. So I thank you for sharing, and continue on to how it got you to where you are today.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, it it showed me. So where this time around, I truly experienced oneness. Like
Mm.
it was just there was just this blissfulness, but not until after I had like these horrific deaths and relived like these.
Right. You gotta go through the mud.
Yes,
You
yes. My
know?
friend Alan is on here. He was actually there last year with me. We were there at the same time, so he probably was there when I had my famous exit out of the room where they had to carry me out in a makeshift hammock because I was convulsing.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
yes, because I was reliving um, a past life and also experiencing it through my ancestors. So it wasn't just me; it would happen to my lineage. So it was really super intense, and
Mm.
feel, it was like I was carrying those imprints. So we come here and a lot of us are carrying the imprints of our ancestors and their traumas and the lives that we've lived together and the things that we experience. And we choose, some of us choose to come here to clear that for our line.
Yeah.
And I guess I was, eager enough to volunteer to do that.
Right. Right.
It was super, super intense. And it's, while you're in it, you don't understand it. But once, I call it the crossover, once everything calmed and I was able to purge and I was able to understand, okay, I'm in control now. There's this, it's like everything just opened up and there was a clarity and this euphoric understanding that we are one, we are all. I am you, you are me. I'm the grass, I'm the tree, you're the tree. And it was like this beautiful, exchange of energy that was spectacular.
Yeah.
And so while I was in that space, you keep dabbling in and out of it because then, it's like, okay, now we where what you are, now you experience that. Let's go back and do some more work, let's go suffer a little more.
Right.
And there was a lot of mother energy. So there was a lot of like birthing a new, like I was birthing like a new earth. There's everything's being birthed through us, like, I was, like I keep saying, I'm the new earth, like you're the new earth. So let's birth a new reality. So my understanding was that we're creating this new world and this beautiful new energy that is coming online, that we're all awakening to, that we're all experiencing, and where people are joining together, and there's a lot more love being experienced. And even though there's so much chaos, if we disconnect from that, we can really, really realize that there's so much more on this side. And so that's where the medicine says, okay, you need to bring your voice, and you're going to be using it in your sessions. And I noticed that when I would do a Reiki center session or an energy healing session, at first it started out as words. So I would hear messages, like I would hear spoken word, and I was confused. I didn't understand. Okay, is that for me? Is that for them? And then I would hear, no, it's for them, or it's for both of you. Like sometimes they would say you're giving from an empty cup, and I didn't understand. Okay, that it's time, it's time to end. But the message was also for the person. They were giving from an empty cup, so it was kind of confusing. And before I was
those were the kinds of words that were coming to you, like
at first, yes,
philosophical kind of little.
Yeah, so I received messages. So while I'm working on you, I'm receiving messages that are helping you move through whatever blockages I'm feeling, or I'm guided to feel while I'm working.
Gotcha.
And then at first, when I was nervous to speak them out loud because I was confused, I would feel like I would cough, or I would feel weak. I started to feel like depleted. And then when I started to speak them, I would feel better. And then I realized, oh, okay, so this is part of the new, version of healing. And then it went from that to now I'm hearing melody.
I remember you started telling me this at the show. You were talking about how this can be. This is awesome. I love that.
Yeah. So now it's like, you want me to what? You want me to sing into this woman's shoulder?
Right.
And
wow.
So, yeah. And then from there, it's turned into light language within the melodies. And then now I'm hearing them while I'm working on myself, and it helped me. And then I'm able to tune in and channel them that way.
So cool. I love it. And again, I mean, I don't know people who haven't experienced anything like that, but it's just, there's such a feeling to it. So here's something interesting. I want to see if you have any insight on. We talked a little bit about before the show, the idea of cymatics, right? Something that I've been interested in. And it seems very, very significant to me, right? The idea. So first of all, cymatics, if people haven't heard or seen of that, it's that idea of having a plate with some sand on it or some water, and you play a vibration through it, and then you see these sacred geometric patterns coming through. And I've been seeing information on that, about how that can be, extrapolated into almost like looking down a strand of DNA. Like you're looking down the DNA, like almost like down the tube of DNA. And so it's really a 2D version of what would be three-dimensional, right? And so I'm just thinking about what you were talking about, information. You were talking about ancestral energies, and that's carried through our DNA, right? These energies are carried through our DNA. So I just, again, I'm just fascinated by the idea that sound. So with cymatics, it's like when you have the sand on the plate, it's actually the sound is physically moving the matter. And so to me, again, that's significant that you just singing can physically change, somebody's muscle structure, or, whatever's going on in their body, any sort of infection, or, things like that, like truly, truly affect, the physical.
Well, what I believe is that it's a communication from our soul, right? From our higher self. So I'm communicating with whatever's coming through me is communicating with your higher self. And it's bringing, aligning you with that state of oneness, that everything is pure and you don't have any dis-ease or discomfort. There's nothing there. So it's kind of reminding you of that state and bringing you there so that you can shine your light and bring that within you. And it's almost like a remembrance. So it's helping you remember your 0 point, your authentic self, which is healed and whole and complete and pure love and light.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine what that feels like, right? And it's interesting because as you were talking about these things, right, I can certainly say through my own experiences, right, and knowing lots of different people who practice different modalities and exploring all these different beliefs, I can certainly say that I have experienced and I have this same knowing that you're talking about, right? So even the idea of knowing we are all just fragments of source. Like I can say to you that I know it, and I can almost put myself in the mindset of how blissful that is. But as a human being in 3D, like I don't even understand what the hell I'm saying. It's so hard to wrap my head around it. But I am so grateful that I feel like beyond that, which I guess is the other word I struggled with, right? Because it had a lot of religious connotations, is the word faith, right? It's that faith, it's that letting go and saying, you know what, there's something out there that I don't need to put into words because I feel it. I don't need to understand it because I feel it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I was experiencing when I was doing my show and I'm talking and you're doing your thing, and I'm just like, that was the perfect moment of we're all one, right? And for me to be like, this is almost like meditating, right? Like when you're meditating and you're aware of all the things that are going on, and here I am having an interview with somebody and they're all like going, oh, what's going on? And I'm just like doing my thing because I'm right there in that moment, and you were a part of that. So just so you know.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And Grace is saying, you lift up the person's frequency to the healing vibration required.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting too, because I mean, I think nobody can deny music, right? And listening to music and how that makes a person feel, how it can actually affect how a person is feeling, right? And you can choose certain types of music to feel certain ways, that there's such power in that. So I think everyone understands the power of sound, but you've taken it to this like new place. And it's also interesting too, because I think a lot of times when I have some female vocalist friends, right? And there are certain kinds of styles of singing that just put me like as an infant in my mother's arms, listening to my mother's voice. And even if she wasn't singing, you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of that feeling of the mother energy, that female mother energy. That's so awesome.
And it's if you really look into it, it's a modality that was used for centuries. Like I think we spoke about this at the expo. You have like the Hathor Star Nation. They would use their voices.
Mm.
To heal. They would use their voices as healing modalities to
Mhm,
ease
mhm.
pain and to remove disease. And
Right.
grandmother Anna, while Mary was in labor, they sang to her. She sang to
Mm,
her to ease her labor
mhm,
pains and help
mhm,
her go through the trauma and the motions of giving birth, right? And so
mhm.
these are it's something that was used for centuries before. It's just that with life it just gets shut down.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And in my head, I'm hearing in my head like almost like the ancient Egyptians, like the chanting, like oh, just like a low hum that's just always there. You know what I mean? And just vocals and just what that evokes. It's really so powerful.
Yes.
Um, so this is what you're doing now. This has brought you to your whole practice, your whole purpose in life. So people come to you, do they come for Reiki first? Like what's like, is it the whole package, I guess?
Yes, I at this point, I just let everyone know this is how I work.
Mhm,
I'm going to shake, I may cry, and
mhm,
messages are going to come through, which I will either speak, or the light codes will come through that I'll sing, hum. Sometimes it's a chant, sometimes it's a low vibration, as
mhm,
like you were doing.
mhm, mhm,
Sometimes it's light language or sung light language. It's all a combination, and when I allow that to truly flow through without resistance, that's where I feel like we have the best results,
mhm.
where the person really feels it. Where if when they're open, they feel it,
Sure.
and I I feel it, and I know that I'm in alignment when I allow it.
Awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? That's an important point too that I always recognize, right, in my friends. Like I tell people that I have a psychic fetish because I don't want to go to see a psychic myself, but I love being in the room when a psychic is reading and like just being in that energy and I know that I've watched my psychic friends give readings to people and received the healing that they're giving as well. Like it's a very healing thing back and forth.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's a lot of what you do too. Like you're taking on a lot of the whatever it is that needs to be addressed. You're kind of feeling it.
Yes, I do feel it. I feel it go through my body.
Mhm,
I feel a lot of times I feel the emotion. I feel the grief, the pain. Then I can feel when something moves. There's that joy.
mhm,
Um, I feel guides come in.
mhm,
Sometimes, like
mhm.
I just had a experience where uh, a a blue being. I was inside the blue being, and the blue being was performing surgery on the person. It was a
Oh
woman.
wow.
Yes, I was hearing her neck was broken. Her neck was broken, but it was past life trauma,
Mm,
and it was affecting her in this life a
mhm,
lot.
mhm.
She was having a lot of issues, but this is the first time I've ever experienced where I'm actually within a being,
Wow.
and that was happening, and I was being guided, okay, sing now and do this, but I was watching them perform surgery on her spine.
Wow. So that's interesting. I want to back up a little bit and like so you were doing stuff and like if you reached out your hand, you saw somebody else that you saw the other being's hand.
My
Is
eyes are
that
closed pretty much. I
okay?
so I'm
Just
I'm
it was a feeling.
feeling, and I see, um and I saw, like, and I felt like being encompassed by this being. So I'll feel an energy come through, and like
Mhm,
I felt like Mother Mary, I felt Isis,
mm,
I felt Jesus. That was super intense.
wow. So I got a question. That brings me to a good question, because I have a lot of friends who experience a lot of these things, right? How do you recognize what energy is coming through?
With some, I have to ask, or I'm like, okay, because it's like almost like you have a knowing.
Mhm,
With
mhm,
Jesus, there was no denying it.
mhm,
It
mhm,
actually
mhm.
happened at the last, not this expo, the one before. I had a woman, and I couldn't deny it. There was no, it was like, it. This. It was a big energy. It was such pure love, and I was really taken back,
Okay.
because I never experienced anything like that before. So,
Right.
and it's, it
And
is.
it's funny, because I asked this question, right? I'm like, how do you know? And I want the answer, but I get that answer, right? I get it. Like, you just know, and like, that's acceptable. Like, I'm not going to push it any further, but that's great. It's, I can't, I can't imagine, right? Like I said, what it's like. I'm so envious of it, and I I do feel it, like I said, when I'm around it, and that's why I love talking to people like yourself, and people who have all these different kind of connections with source. And I guess that's really my mission, right? Is exploring all of the different iterations that there are to connect with source, right? And how different people express it, and that's okay. Especially, right? And that's beautiful thing to celebrate. And I guess that's what I'm doing. And Diane says, I remember that expo in Holtzville. You were so emotional, as
Yes,
you would imagine. And
it
thank
was.
you, LPD. It says, great show, Liz. You are a beautiful person inside and out. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Awesome. And thank you guys for all being here and showing up, and um, encouraging this, and uh, sending love to Liz. Um, So tell me more. Tell me what's next for you. You have such a great energy. You seem authentically happy, right? And I think that that's a really important thing. I think authenticity is something that you can't fake. And I think in this community, there's a lot of people who probably need healing more than are healers. But I feel like there are also a lot of authentic healers out there. And I love, like Grace Grella. I love Grace Grella goes and gets readings from other psychic mediums. You know what I mean? Like, because she loves the energy, and she, it's just such a great community. So I love it. And then rompiendo el silencio para romper las cadenas.
Yes.
Loves you, sis.
Yes.
How'd I do? All right? Did I do all right with my
Perfect. That's breaking the silence to break the chains.
breaking the silence?
That.
I might have figured that out if you gave me some time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wanted to read it first, because I just think it's beautiful. The language is beautiful, and I figured I could probably pronounce it if I read it out
You
loud.
did great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
So tell me, this
So,
time that we're in, right? This moment that we're in humanity, especially as somebody who is a healer, somebody who's doing what you do. I know for me, and you talked about this a little bit. I went to the pranic rebirth journey that Hardy was giving, and I didn't do it, but I was there to help document it. Right, I was filming it for him, and it was intense. It was intense. I mean, the people who were convulsing and shouting and experiencing, all I can say is energy, because I was there in the room, and I'm sensitive to energy. um it was really intense, and I walked away from that kind of not really sad, but I walked away from that with the feeling like, wow, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. There's a lot of real pain out there, and it's deep, and again, I feel like I'm a pretty happy person, and I feel like I'm pretty grounded, and I'm okay, but that work is never done, right? And I'm almost like, man, am I just afraid to go do some more work? And if I did, like I know that that's the key, right, to open the door and get to that next level. And here I am doing this show, talking to all these people, waiting for the right person to cross my path, right, that has the answer. Meanwhile, the answer is in here. I just said it out loud in front of everybody.
The answer is always in here. It's
Yeah.
just you want to hear it. That's the thing. We're like,
Yeah,
oh,
no, I mean, I certainly, it's nice to feel that I'm happy and that I'm a grateful person and I'm enjoying life. But I guess it is a little scary to know that there is some trauma in there that may be not even from my own life. It could be from a past life
yeah.
that is holding me back from taking this to that next level. You know what I mean? And whatever. Grace Grella is giving me a great reminder. She's saying, what is the contact information for Lisbeth? And let me put up a banner. I know you have a Instagram, right? At Bella Luna Healing 515. That is your Instagram. I'm just going to put that in the ticker right there. So I know you're working on a website.
Yes.
We spoke a little bit about that, and that's going to be awesome. So I guess, how long have you been doing this kind of professionally?
Well, I received my first Reiki attunement back in 2021.
Okay, so it's
I
only a
was,
couple of years.
yeah, it's only a couple of years because, like I said, it's only been since 2019 where everything kind of opened up for me, and I've spent pretty much the past 5 years doing most of the work on myself. So that's why when you're saying you don't want to crack open it, it's the hardest thing. It's very not that it's easy, but it's easier for us and to give to others than to sit and give to ourselves. And but what I've learned is that this has been my largest education. So I've learned more by what I've healed within myself than I think I would have if I would have probably went to college for 5 years on whatever you would study to be here, because I've learned how to work on myself in this 3D world, and the challenges that that my life has brought here. I mean, I've dealt with all kinds of life experiences and major illness and
So we never actually said it, but I'm imagining the way you described it was you're in remission. You're cancer free.
Yes.
That,
I celebrated my 5 years, which is a big deal.
congratulations. That is amazing. An amazing story. And I think one of my favorite stories, you know what I mean, is the triumph of the spirit and the soul, in the adversity of something like cancer. That's a big thing. And here you are, this beautiful woman with a beautiful voice doing beautiful things. It's really amazing. Diane says thank you.
Thank you.
And Rompiendo says yes. That it is truly, it's admirable, it's inspirational. You know what I mean? It's like a feel-good story. You know what I mean? I mean, my dad passed from esophageal cancer. So it's like, I think it touches just about everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's amazing. So that, so you coming back triumphantly as a healer. You know what I mean? And I just love so much the healing, the idea of healing, right? Because I've seen it so much. I've seen people go into a healer, and it's got to be the right one. Listen, not every modality is for everybody, and not every healer is going to resonate with everybody. But when you see a healer connect with somebody and actually heal that person and themselves, it's brilliant. It's just it's so powerful. Yeah, it really is.
It really is. And like you said, your medicine is not for everyone. Not everyone is going to resonate with what I'm offering. But I know that the people who need it, and the people who are in alignment are going to come. And for a couple of years I was like, oh, everyone's going to be weirded out by me, and
Right.
everything. I'm not getting any clients, and things were slow. I really spent the time healing myself. And it wasn't up, till this year I was like, okay, I'm really ready. I'm ready.
Right.
I need to put myself out there. I'm
Right.
ready. And now is when I'm starting to really experience people just walking over and saying, I feel so connected with you. I really believe that you're the person that I'm ready to come and see. Or I was very happy to hear that.
You know what? You just said something so important, because I think that's what's going to sell it for you, is you and who you are, and the way you make people feel because of the work you did on yourself, right? Like, you love yourself, and you know that you're beautiful and amazing and healing, and it's not even a question in your mind. And again, that comes across so authentically, and that is what's going to sell it to people, because people are going to be drawn to that, and they're going to say, hey, I want that. I want to feel that way about myself. And this person has that secret, right? You have that, and it's not really a secret. I don't think you're not gatekeeping or anything like that. You're saying, here it is, for you.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes that I repeat over and over again, I tell it to anyone who's going to listen, is it's an Abraham Hicks quote, and it's I was born of source energy. No matter how hard I try to separate myself, I cannot.
Mhm.
And then it repeats again. I was born of source energy. I am love. I am source energy. I am worthy. I am source energy, and I'm deserving of a wonderful life. However, I allow it to come in is my choice. So
Mhm.
that's where that free will thing comes in, right?
Yep.
We have
Yep.
that, birthright. It's are we going to allow it in? And we all struggle with that. I struggle with that all the time,
Sure. Sure.
and I self-sabotage and do all of those fun things that
Right.
we have
Right.
to do.
Well, we're still existing through that 3D filter that we've
Mhm.
all gotta we've all gotta deal with the 3D effect.
Yes, yes, we are human.
We are human. And
Yeah.
you know what? Sometimes I feel like, damn it, I forgot that's what I'm supposed to be doing, is just being human. I'm supposed to be being human. I'm not supposed to try to figure all of this stuff out. And I'm just supposed to be enjoying, my life, which I am. I certainly am. I'm surrounded by a wonderful community of people. I'm in an amazing relationship, and I love myself. So,
Yes.
what more can there be?
That
Right?
love allows you to share, pour, what the excess that's coming out of your cup onto
Yes.
the world. And that's why you have this community and all of the people around
It's
you.
so important, right? And
That's the
let's
modality.
just keep doing that. Yeah, that's the modality. Exactly. The
Mhm.
full cup, the overflowing cup.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. You're awesome to talk to. You were awesome to talk to when we met. You're awesome to talk to now. I guess I'm going to ask you, because I'm probably going to talk to you after this and try to barter a session with you. But let's just say I came in and we had a session. Walk me through how you would determine what I need.
Okay. So when you come in, a lot of times lately, I'm receiving kind of a little bit of information before you arrive. So most of the time, I try not to really have a conversation with you about what's going on or why you're ready to come for session prior.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I don't, I question myself, and then I'm like, well, am I hearing this because she told me.
Right, right,
Um,
right. Got it.
and so I try to avoid that as much as possible, unless I know you. So when you come in, I get you comfortable. I ask you, take your shoes off. Shoes off is very important. No watch, no, phones or anything like that on your body.
Mhm.
I do a little smoke and a little, clearing by the window. I have a little window in my studio, and I always like to do it by the window and, start cleaning things out.
Mhm.
And then you lay on the table, and I ask you to just try to be calm and, in your open up your heart space, think of things that fill you with gratitude and love. And I connect, I ground, and I kind of give myself a minute. And then I ask if it's okay if I put my hands on you, and I start at your crown in a traditional, Reiki session way.
Mhm.
And then once from the crown is where I start to receive the messages and what's happening, whether I'm, what's coming through, and then I'm guided as to where to go next. So I'm
Right.
following what I'm being guided to do. So I'm just not moving within you. I mean, I do touch on, the seven major energy, channels, or seven major chakras, but I'm pretty
Right.
much guided there. So,
Right.
but there may be times where I'm guided to your neck or your shoulder or your arm or your hands,
Right.
or it depends on, and we start from the top and we go to the bottom.
Right. And
And
that can be something physical or it can be symbolic, right? It doesn't
yes,
necessarily.
it doesn't have to, it's not necessarily a physical ailment. It's it's a emotional energy. You're not speaking up for yourself. Let's give an example. You're living through life. You're not speaking up for yourself. You're not speaking your truth. You're
Right.
being abused, or what, you're going to have stuck energy. And a lot of times I'll feel it, and they'll, I'll sing into it, or whatever I'm being called to do is what
Right.
comes through, and that's what.
Interesting. So this is definitely like a purely energetic exercise, a purely energetic exchange, because I know for
Yes.
me there are some modalities, there are some exercises that people do that are, for me, are very therapy. They remind me of therapy, right? They're very psychological, like, so they involve. That's why I was asking you what it would be like. I didn't know if you would ask questions, you know what I mean, maybe talk to me a little bit and then kind of get from my answers kind of where I was at, and that. But this is purely just like intuition, energetic, and that's great. I actually I love the crossover, right? Because I feel like I've taken a couple of different classes just to explore Akashic records and things like that, right? So the idea of clearing words, psychic surgery, I guess what it was called, where you're reading a paragraph, and then if there's a certain word that you trip on or stutter on, you stop and you focus on that word, and then you kind of ask the questions around that word, like what's the feeling that's coming up, what's the size, the shape, all of these kinds of questions. And I'm sure you've heard some of those exercises, where you really start to identify, and I don't want to say personify, but I guess you start to really identify, would be the best, the energy, right? And focus on it so that it can be, I guess, manipulated and removed or addressed in some way.
Yes.
Um, so I just love that crossover, and I was just curious as if to there was any of that, but this seems like much more intuitive, energetic. And I see Debbie Romero out there. What's up, Debbie Romero? Oh, so much fun. So I do gotta end the show, but I probably have so many more questions for you. I guess I'm curious as to just what your advice is to people, just kind of like a normal, like, like exercise to deal with everyday challenges.
Um, I would say compassion. Give yourself a lot of love and self-compassion, because I think that we go in, we're like, I want to heal images, but a lot of times we're so hard on ourselves because it's not easy. It's difficult. It's hard to tune in and feel all those emotions. So giving yourself that grace and that compassion,
Mhm.
allowing yourself to feel the ugly, feel like ugly, cry, feel, scream, open those channels up, allow all of that grief to come out and move your body. a lot of the energy and all of the trauma, it's living within our tissues. So the more that we move, the more that it allows things our body can release, because our body is, it's an intelligent, being in itself.
Yes.
I would say, search for community, ask for help. You don't have to be alone. And I think that we're embarrassed or we're afraid. Don't be ashamed of your pain or your grief. A lot of times your story and your grief and your pain is what's going to cross you over to the other side and lead you to where your pot of gold is. So be in it and sit in it. And
I love what you just said about seeking out community, search for community, because I feel like that's so important. I think it's funny. I don't know if we were just talking about this. I think we were just talking about this before, about like just looking at pictures of yourself from 10 years ago, right?
Yes.
Like I feel like, there was a point in my life where I just did not like people. I just was like, I was just not, I wasn't miserable. I was never a miserable person, but I just wasn't a fan. I would rather be alone, right? Than go into hang out with people. And I just find myself so drawn to community. And I feel there's so much energy in connecting with other people. And I guess obviously, right, if I'm doing this show and bringing people on and talking to them about what they do, like, man, it's just such a powerful thing. And when you just said that, seek community as like an advice, that I think that's a really good advice. I think, we do need to remember that we're all in this together, and we're not competing with each other, and we don't have to, do anything better than anyone else. We just all need to help each other and work together. And, we're all in this together. That's one of my favorite things. And I think that's seek community. That's like just another way to say it.
Yes,
Which is awesome.
that support will really help. And you'll realize that there's so many other people out there that are really kind of in the same place as you are.
Yes, that's it. I agree with that too. And I think that's what's so cool about, like, when you're a healer and you have a certain modality, understanding like, okay, not everybody's gonna come to me, but the people that need to will, and they'll do that because I make them understand that they're not alone. And I see namaste. I see Grace saying, thanks for a brilliant show tonight, Michael and Lisbeth. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Doris and Jennifer and everybody who's here. Thank you guys for being here so much. I couldn't do this without you. Well, I guess I could, but I would just be talking to nobody. But thankfully, there are people out there listening and receiving and feeling and loving. I love you all. I'm going to speak for Lisbeth, and I'm going to say she loves you all.
Yes.
Next week, I'm excited. Next week, I have Sandy Hackett on my show. Do you know who Sandy Hackett is?
I don't. I might. Maybe I've heard or seen, but I don't right now.
Sandy Hackett is the son, a male, the son of Buddy Hackett, who is a very famous American actor, like a comedian from a long time ago. Very famous. I know you might not know the American culture, but yeah, I'm excited because I can remember when I was a kid seeing Buddy Hackett, and he was so funny. And now Sandy Hackett is his son and also a comedian. He was on the show, the Jackie the Joke Man's stand-up memories, which I produce, and he just seemed like such a genuine guy that we hit it off afterwards. And I was like, I'd really like to talk to you on my show. And he said yes. So I kind of got a celebrity coming on my show. I'm excited. It's usually about regular folk like you and me. But I'm excited. So that's what I have next week. And then I think the holidays are after that. I'll be in Arizona. Lisbeth, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed speaking to you. And don't go anywhere after I run the outro, because I want to talk to you about maybe doing a session with you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm super
awesome. Grateful. All right, guys. Have a great night. I will talk to you next week. Peace.